Hi, my name is Savannah. I am currently an employee of Merck Sharp and Dome, LLC, a subsidiary of Merck and Company, Incorporated, Rahway, New Jersey, USA. The opinions or perspectives expressed today do not represent the opinions or perspectives of my employer.
If you're a pharmacy student, 9 times out of 10, you've probably been told that getting a residency is the defining factor of your life as a pharmacist. It's the gatekeeping experience that stands between you and your dream career. But year after year, students at the top of their game still don't match. What then? I'm Dominique, and today I have my friend Savannah here joining me on this much-needed conversation. We're both pharmacists who went through the residency match process, and we're about to give you the real insider scoop on what actually makes residency candidates competitive. The plot twist to this conversation is even though we were both very competitive candidates, only one of us matched. To give you some context, we both attended the #1 pharmacy school in the country that holds a 96% residency match rate compared to the national average, which is about 81%. I matched in phase 1 and completed my residency and then went on into the workforce. Savannah, on the other hand, went through all 3 phases of the match process and ultimately didn't match. But within 5 years, she paved her own way to becoming a medical science liaison at one of the top pharmaceutical companies in the world. And she accomplished this all without a residency. So not only are we going to cover how to ensure you're competitive when you're applying to residency programs, but Savannah is going to go in depth about her experience of not matching, how she navigated that rejection, and the strategy she implemented to still compete with her residency trained peers. Savannah, thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be back.
We already had you on the show, and you were speaking about what you currently do now. I just shared that you are a medical science liaison, but there were 5 years before we got to this place where we are now. And I would love for you to share with us what your take on your whole residency match process was. You know, do you remember how this was pressed upon us, or I should say impressed upon us?
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
the magnitude that we were told this would hold, to our career.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it could have just been our school, but it seemed like that was a path that was it was highlighted as the main path. Most of our professors were residency trained pharmacists or they were preceptors for residents.
A residency program, you are basically consolidating 3 to 5 years of work experience into one single year of training. And you are just going through month by month or whatever amount of weeks that program might have. And you're just rotating through experiences. And then you're also taking on longitudinal tasks like presentations or like reports that you might have to generate and check in on, or teaching, yes. If the institution takes students, residents are expected to be involved with those students, and also research. You are expected to have a research project going on for most of these programs. So the purpose of residency is really to make yourself as competitive as possible when you're leaving the job force, because companies, they feel a lot more, I guess I should say, security when they are hiring a pharmacist who might have a little bit more of that training and exposure to different things than someone who's coming out of pharmacy school and maybe necessarily didn't get to have all of that exposure. To further go into how residency can be an advantage is your years of practice, so to speak, until you can sit down for the BPS or board pharmacy specialties certifications. That is shortened when you go through a residency, because to the point that I've made, that a residency is supposed to equate to 3 to 5 years of work experience. So I was able to do my 1-year residency, and after working 1 year in the field, I qualified to sit down for my exam. But to your point, without that, it probably would have taken, I believe, 4 to 5 years. Yeah. And who do you think should be applying to this? Because we don't think that you should just be doing it just because, because they're telling you to do it. It's still time away from you getting a job, you getting a real paycheck.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you could speak to my experience. So my intention was to go do residency, do a PGY2 in oncology, and become an oncology, board certified oncology pharmacist. I wanted to be there working directly with patients. If that is what you wanna do, if you wanna be teaching, because 'cause you're gonna be doing that as a clinical pharmacist, doing research, being in academia
Mhm.
and on rounds and being in the hospital, working directly with patients, if patient care is your passion, that's who should do residency.
Yes. And especially to your point, if you know you want to specialize in something.
Right.
Absolutely. So I just did a PGY1, which was general because I didn't want to specialize. Got my first year and I pieced out of
Mhm.
there and got a job. But
We love it.
that would be very hard to do if I went to do oncology. I
Mhm.
probably would have had to do a specialized second year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at job descriptions for those positions, like oncology pharmacist, for example, they will typically say that it's preferred that you have a residency, but they pretty much only consider those that have a PGY2 in oncology.
That is pretty much the consensus. Yes. That
Mhm.
preferred might as well be.
You gotta have it. Yeah, because everybody else applying does.
I feel like we have the fundamentals of like what a residency program is, why somebody would do this. Also, I want us to talk about, and I have my notes, guys, so don't be alarmed when I'm looking at my notes. But I want to talk about also setting realistic expectations when it
Mhm.
comes to approaching the residency process, because
Mhm.
when you look at the data, it can scare you. I remember just even seeing like the match rates and being
Mhm.
it kind of detouring me a little bit from even wanting to apply. It didn't help, I should say.
No.
Like looking at the statistics of who matches
Jump scare.
yes, it did not help my confidence during the
Mm-mm.
process. But we want to kind of, burst some of those myths, because you and I have seen people who you would be like, they actually match. And then you see people where you're like, you didn't match. And you're one of those people for me, because when you told me you didn't, I was very shocked and alarmed. But I know others that did. And I was shocked and alarmed. So to move, to
How
move.
the cookie crumbles sometimes, and honestly, I remember them we had little, like, lunch and learn type things where, like, someone came in and, like, explained how the match process works, and it's like an algorithm where, like, you rank this program, they rank you, but not high enough, and so you fall down, and then it's like some people just fall through the cracks,
Yeah,
really. It happens, like, not everybody matches.
I know.
It's an algorithm.
And I believe that's why they have the different phases.
Right.
I want to make sure we're not getting ahead of ourselves. Oh, we do have a space just for this, Savannah, to talk about
Okay.
how it works. So we'll get into
Okay.
the account for that and try to
Yeah.
catch people who fall through the cracks. But let's move on to the setting expectations, making sure that they are, analyzing themselves without bias
Mhm.
when they're approaching this rigorous process. Anything that you would like to share with people who are coming into this process feeling a little bit psyched out?
I mean, you know yourself, right? Like, you went through 4 years of pharmacy school. It's has not been easy. You've been doing research projects, probably. You've been, leadership positions. Everything that you do in pharmacy school is preparing you for a residency. So, I think just believing and, like, trusting the process that you're gonna end up where you're supposed to be. It's not an easy process, but we can do things that are hard. Life isn't always going to be super easy, and I think this is just one of those things where if you feel very committed to patient care and you feel in your heart that this is the next step you wanna take, you can do it, you can do hard things.
Hmm.
It's a temporary thing, you can do it.
Yeah. I think the best way to set expectations is knowing that we're going to review everything that they're looking for and how to set yourself up for success. But also setting realistic expectations is also kind of acknowledging or coming to terms with, did you do your best and give this process your all? Because I agree with you, Savannah. I believe that people always are going to land where they're supposed to land when they did everything they were supposed to do. Right. I believe people can actually close the door on themselves for opportunities when they don't take things serious, when, they're, taking a nap instead of coming to class. And that's fine here and there, but just rewatch the lecture.
Mhm.
But, like, did you show up during the process?
Mhm.
Did you set yourself up for success? Did you do everything that you possibly could on the worst days that might have looked different than the best days? But if you really have given pharmacy school in this process your all and you apply, wherever you land is where you're supposed to land. But if you're goofing off the whole time, my friend, and now you want to scramble a couple months before residency, you might need some supernatural interventions.
Right, and it is a long-term goal type of thing. It's something that you kind of decide, I would say at least months, if not a year, at least in advance that you're going to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a commitment. I mean, we're gonna talk about the process and the
Yeah.
application and all that. Like, there are lots of things that go into consideration when they are evaluating a candidate. And so you wanna have all your ducks in a row, ready to go, all the boxes checked.
Mm-hmm.
Working hard is just one of those things because letters of recommendation, right? Like, you wanna have people that can vouch for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's shift then. I think that's a good segue into how they need to be building their application. Okay. So the moment your big toe hits the campus as a P1, this is when we start getting intentional, right? I don't know about y'all, but I took out loans and I wasn't playing about that money. Okay. I'm going to get that education. I'm going to squeeze everything out of this that I can. And I was serious about that. So it starts literally your first year. The four critical components of a residency application include curriculum vitae. So your CV. If you're, new to pharmacy school, you probably have a resume right now. Maybe not a CV, but you will start building a CV throughout your years in pharmacy school. Letters of recommendation. You want to make sure that, again, are being intentional about the people you're meeting, where you're working, interning, shadowing. The moment you start pharmacy school and beyond, sometimes it even starts earlier. Some people were technicians in college, right? And then they graduated to intern level at their pharmacies and stayed until they graduated. But you want to look for people who are going to be able to vouch for you, your skills, the way you handle conflict, the way that you lead, service, volunteer, all these things, patient counseling, whatever it entails, you want strong people to write for you. The third is your letter of intent, which essentially is like your personal statement that you used to apply to pharmacy schools, but then we call it a letter of intent for the residency application process. And I said the fourth component, and that I'm going to say is like a supplemental if that school asks for it or if that institution will ask for it. I don't think that's as common as it is with pharmacy school. But everything that we're going to share about how to strategically set yourself up, the things that they're looking for in your CVs and your experience as to what this person did with their time in pharmacy school are all going to kind of work together and you having a strong, solid application by the time you apply. All right, Savannah,
Let's jump into it.
let's jump in. Let's talk about the CV.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, how should they be developing their CV?
So I think there's a lot of ways you can go about it. Obviously, for industry, it's a lot different, but I can speak to when I was applying, and obviously, I did not match. So please correct me, but it's pretty much going to be your work experience, your obviously where you went to school, and then you really are highlighting since you haven't worked other than if you did some in pharmacy school, it's a lot of your appies. And so you're going to want to really highlight those and the things that you did when you were on rotation that 4th year because that 4th year is really you're out there. Most likely you've hit those buckets, but really being able to capture that on your CV. And then research is huge. I mean, you're going to be doing that as a resident, as
Mhm.
you can speak to teaching. And so, really having it organized in a way for whoever is reviewing the application that they can see what you did in pharmacy school.
Yeah. Do you think that they should remove experiences that aren't specific to pharmacy?
I don't think so. Like, say you volunteered at church and you were like in the nursery or something like that. Like, I think that's something that you could talk about because that is service to your community. What it's not medical service, but you're going out of your way to take care of the people around you. And I think maybe it might not come up in an interview, but I've had things come up in an interview that I'm like, I'm surprised they even saw that they even cared to ask about that. But you never know who's going to interview you. Maybe they have a special interest in that thing. What do you think?
I agree with you. I agree. Because as long as it translates over
Right.
the skill sets from or what you learn from that experience, then it matters. And in this phase of their career, and even I think us too, 5 years out, which is why are we 5 years out of school? What?
I don't know. Time flies.
But in
I
this
feel old.
Girl, in this phase of their career, they probably are still going to need some cushion from like things they did in
Hmm.
undergrad,
Yeah.
that can apply. But organizations that they join, leadership positions that you join, even things you do as members or volunteers, service in the community, in your church. All of these things speak to who you are as a person. They
Right.
care about who they're going to spend the next year with.
Hmm.
They're going to have to look you in the face and not hate their life while they're doing it. So
Right.
they want to actually like you. They actually want to know that you're going to be an addition to the culture there, to the environment, the climate there, and that you're not going to suck, essentially.
Right. Right. And like the CV is just one of the components that will hopefully lead to an interview, which is how they will confirm all of those things that you just said. The CV is like one of the main components. And yeah, the leadership I think is key because as a resident, as you know, there are initiatives that you'll be working on and things that require those leadership skills for sure.
Absolutely. And they also want to know that, okay, you can memorize your textbook and then take an exam and regurgitate it. But like, where are you actually building the practical skills
Right.
to actually be good at this? And do you have a life outside of
Hmm.
pharmacy school, outside of what
Yeah.
you're doing in the classroom? All of these things matter. So definitely make sure that you are seeking ways to get involved. Please don't discount things that may not seem like they're paying you in the moment as far as, you know, an investment of time, because in the end, it is an investment. For example, if you're working at a nonprofit or something like that, or if somebody is just super passionate about service, like you said, Savannah, they're going to be very moved by somebody who took time out of their crazy pharmacy school schedule to volunteer at a shelter one
Hmm.
Sunday a month, because that just speaks to you having compassion. That speaks to you being willing to sacrifice things for the greater
Hmm.
good, time management. There's so many things you can extrapolate from what you choose to do with your time
Hmm.
while you are a pharmacy student. What do you think about putting the GPA on the CV?
I don't think it's critical. I've always heard if it was really impressive, then maybe put it on there.
I was told the same, 3.5 and above. Some people will say 3.5 and higher at it. Definitely, if you have a 3.7 and higher.
Yeah, I would say like 3.7 and up, like definitely, like that's impressive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What was your GPA? Do you mind me asking?
I think it was 3.7. I think it was 3.7, but it may have come down a little bit towards the end. I don't remember looking at the final, but like,
When was it
yeah.
when you applied for residency?
I think it was 3.7,
That's amazing. I was a three
but I
three.
don't think I put it on there.
What? I had a 3.3 and I did not put it on there because I didn't make the cutoff.
I think that's good though. I mean, that's A's and B's. So in my article on tldlpharmacy.com, I do have what I had. It could have been a
Okay.
3.6 or a 3.7. I don't remember. But grades, again, like clearly are not the end all be all. There were, and just being honest, like people in our class, amazing students, like 4.0. They're killing it. making A's on every exam. Would I want them to be my pharmacist or taking care of me? Probably not. They're like, you have to be good with people, I think, and sometimes I don't think those grades translate to actually being a clinician,
Hmm.
but that's just my opinion, not to throw any shade. I just think, you kinda wanna be the whole package, and that's kinda what they're looking for. Grades are important, but they're not everything, is kinda what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Okay. So on the CV, we talked about the different experiences that they definitely want to put on there, IPPs and APPs. Now, when they're putting those experiences on there, they should be being very descriptive with what they actually did during those experiences. They also should be listing the demographic of patients that they worked with, the different disease states that they interfaced with. And they also want to provide metrics like you worked up 15 patients daily or
Yeah.
100 weekly, you made blah, blah, blah interventions. Should have some metrics as to what you did there, and that's really going to give them a clearer understanding of if you actually were challenged and
Mhm.
stretched at that rotation or not, or if it was one of those ones where you just showed up and went home. Because those exist.
They do.
Those are nice. I like those. Like, I kind of feel like you kind of need that, like, splashed in,
Just a little,
throughout
yeah,
the
just a
year,
little.
but it shouldn't be the predominant
You should
experience.
have some challenging, definite inpatient challenging rotations, yeah.
Yeah. Even like a project that you had, right? So
Mhm.
that brings us to like presentations should be on your CV.
Agreed.
You should be putting the name of the presentation, who your audience was.
Yep.
If you have enough space, a little blurb, like a one
Mhm.
sentence blurb about what it was about and the date that you did that. And then depending on how many formats, you could be doing platform presentations, which means you're standing in front of an audience, virtual presentations. There's different formats. So you could kind of
Yeah.
break that down based on the experience that you're getting. And then there's poster presentations too.
Yep.
If you're
So
doing,
you may wanna break that up based on, like, I think I had it, like, invited presentations, which is, like, those, like, platform ones, and then you have, like, poster, and then you could say, like, other presentations, like,
Mhm.
if you just did maybe, like, a one-on-one or one-on-two presentation with your preceptor about a specific topic.
Mhm.
I think those should all be documented and put in there, and that goes without saying is, like, when you give presentations and things like that, it's hard to remember everything you did, so just document everything you do so that you remember and you don't leave out anything when you are applying.
Yeah. That was good advice that we received from in general about how to approach our every rotation. Whatever the correct pace is for you, if you want to sit down at the end of each day and kind of brain dump what you did that day.
Yeah.
I geeked out a little bit and I would have a what I learned today page on my
Oh, that's awesome.
OneNote
Wow.
drive. I'm such a
I
nerd.
did not have that.
Because you kind of don't realize all that you learn until you look back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would put like what I learned today. Even if it was like, do not walk in the office without knocking, like,
Little things,
like the
yeah.
little things. And then that's helping you keep it fresh and
Yes.
be able to speak very confidently on your experiences. Like, as you said, they're asking you things on your CV in your interviews.
Mhm.
They will have your CV printed out in front of them and they will just, so tell me about this. So tell me about that. And if you monkeyed around and just slapped that thing on there because it sounds good and you can't talk about it right.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, as far as, like, the structure of it, that can be really overwhelming for people to be like, "Where do I put this? Where do I put that?" I would highly recommend asking someone who successfully matched, ask them to look at their CV and see how they structured it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always heard you want, like, a good balance of, like, text to white space, like, you don't want it to just all be crammed, and you want it to be easy to follow. Readability is really important, like, I really highly recommend looking at a couple people's CVs and seeing how they organized it, comparing and contrasting, and then making your own. And then also highly recommend using like a table where you like hide the grid lines so that you can keep things all in the same line,
Yeah.
I guess.
I might have to like pop on the screen what that looks like.
Yeah.
So beautiful thing about UNC is they actually had current residents help us with our residency applications. And so the person who was assigned to me, she was brilliant. I was like, wait, people are doing these things? What was I about to do without you? And I looked at her resume, I looked at her CV, and I was like, how are all of your words so sharp and lined up? Like, my biggest pet peeve before I met her was how all of the words are so hard to line up
Mhm.
consistently and make sure that they're
Mhm.
visually consistent. And she showed me that table trick, and it changed the game.
Dude, it's like you have to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it just sets you apart visually. It's like, oh, this person doesn't play.
Yeah, it's attention to detail. When you're in the clinic, when you're on rounds, like, attention to detail is key. Like, that could be the reason why they don't wanna interview you because they see a bunch of things kinda slapped on there, not really organized, like, those little things, they all add up.
Because what are you going to do in a patient note, right? That behavior will trickle through.
Yeah.
That mindset that they kind of sniff out while they're
Mhm.
researching you as a person, as a potential resident, that's going to trickle through who
Yeah.
you are and what you're going to do with their institution.
Right.
They don't want to deal with that. They want attention to detail because nobody's trying to get sued because you didn't feel like
Mhm.
being attentive.
Yeah.
Just going to leave that there.
No, that it's needed.
The curriculum vitae as well. So back to the visual component of it. So you said like we want good contrast. Please, I know we're trying to do things, jazz things up with the newer generations and
Don't get fancy. Yeah. So I can speak to being on the hiring side
yeah.
in pharma, and it's all the same. Like, when I review a CV that is all colorful and, like, the fonts change every other page, and there's just no consistency, and it's just overwhelming, and I just get really stressed out looking at it. Like, this person could be a great candidate, but their CV is just not capturing that for me. Just black and white, Times New Roman. We don't need Comic Sans or purple, like,
I
just
love
keep
that
it.
font too.
Dude, Comic Sans is that's where it's at, though.
And making sure that if you're printing out on an actual paper that it's just white. If you really want to be snazzy, you can invest a little bit more money and get some like textured, fancy paper.
That's some next level.
Isn't it? I think I did that when I went to mid-year. Like I think no, I did. I went into Staples and I got like this really professional, and it was like a very calm marble, like very subtle but
Was it
professional.
scented too?
It wasn't
Like a
scented.
Legally Blonde?
No, it wasn't scented, but it just looked like I came out of a lawyer's office.
Professional.
Yes.
Hey,
And
we
I
love it.
and I printed my physical copies on that paper, and it was all stiff and ready to go and stapled, and here you go.
Here yeah, this is everything I've done over the last 4 years.
But keep it professional, y'all. Keep the font sizes, reasonable.
Mhm.
Your headers should always be a little bit larger visually than the descriptive components that are
Mhm.
going to be in there. You always want to make sure that you're not having like run on things that are falling into the next page.
Yeah.
Even if you have to just indent the next section to start over on the next page, that looks cleaner than just a
Yeah.
run on that prints over.
Also, just be consistent. Like, if you have 2 bullets for one appy, you wanna have 2 bullets for the other appies.
Yes, correct.
Very just keep things very consistent. Keep your margins consistent. Keep your spacing consistent. Like, don't just, like, start a new page and then it's, like, looks completely different. Like, really readability and yeah, there's little attention to details. And having somebody look over it before you submit, I think is a really helpful thing.
I'm thinking like 5 people
Yeah.
from different walks of life. You want
Yeah.
A peer that you can trust, not the peer that sleep all day, every day in class. Peer that you know is on top of their business, okay?
Yeah, someone like pick the person who you know, like you worked with them and they just nitpicked everything. Pick that person.
Yes, pick that person. And also the one who gives you the truth, not
Yep.
your yes man. The one who will lovingly tell you when something
Mm-hmm.
can be improved. You want to, if you have mentors who are, trustworthy of
Mm-hmm.
their advice in this matter, even if they're not in pharmacy, but they still work in a space where they can give solid input. Pharmacy mentors specifically, if you developed relationships with professors or staff in the institution, your preceptors,
Preceptors. Oh yeah, key.
your pharmacy managers.
Just anyone who, and some people will probably offer to look at it, like with if they know you're applying to residency, because
Mhm.
if we haven't made it clear already, it's pretty rigorous, and they'll probably be like, "Let me know if you want me to look at your CV," and that's like take them up on that offer. Seriously,
Please do.
yeah,
Do not play yourself.
yeah, and it could be little things that you like. We all know after you've looked at it for so many hours, like your eyes glaze over, you miss the little things, and yeah, you need someone that's gonna check your work for sure.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to circle back about the consistency. You gave 2 points as an example, but for the appies or ippies, they should definitely have at least 3 points.
Mm,
For your
I
volunteer
didn't know that.
for your volunteer experiences, like I think 2 points is
Mhm.
fine, or organizations. But if you only can produce two things that you did a whole month on your fourth year, that may look like you didn't do much of anything.
Yeah,
So you want to at least put three and try to avoid having the same descriptions in multiple rotations.
yeah.
Even if you did similar things, just try to change the language up so it doesn't read the same exact experience.
It's good advice.
All right, let's move to the letter of recommendation.
Let's do it.
Excuse me. I hope you don't mind if I cut in for a moment.
Hurry up.
Number one, thank you for watching. I hope you're learning something new in this episode. Number two, which is the reason I'm here, is if you don't mind, could you be so kind and like this video or hit the subscribe button?
I mean, I've always subscribed.
By subscribing, you're letting YouTube know that my content is providing you value, and that ultimately helps the channel grow and reach more people who need to hear these conversations. Oh, and one more thing.
Hurry up!
You can also subscribe to the Pharmacy Pathways newsletter to get access to exclusive episode content. Newsletters go out in the same week of the episode. You'll receive a structured summary of each interview, expanded guest bios, and exclusive sneak peeks of future episodes. Subscribe at pharmacypathways.org. Link is in the description. Okay, let's get you back to the show.
I think this is the most important part of the application. I really do. Because these are people who worked with you and were your preceptors, most likely. So they can speak to your work experience. As a RPD, you're going to want to know what other people think about this person, right? Pick people who you know will highly recommend you and only highly recommend, and specifically ask that too. Don't just assume that they will.
And sometimes they're eager to say yes, and you think they're eager to help you, but
But maybe they want to provide a piece of information that they observed that was like an isolated event, and they thought that that's helpful. But I basically discovered when I was applying that I had a letter that it wasn't negative. They still highly recommended me. I was told, but they put something in the feedback that was not, it's something that would raise eyebrows for people, something about taking feedback. Maybe I didn't take feedback super well in one situation because of my personality. I've taken that feedback and obviously like have reflected on it, but I think I was a little, what do you call it when you get feedback and you want to like explain why you did what you did? I don't know.
defensive.
Defensive, yes, maybe a little defensive. And I think that was just being honest like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what led to what happened. So take feedback well. Just take it. Take it and move on, improve.
Mm-hmm.
I think you really just want to be mindful about who is writing your letters.
Very well, thank you, Savannah, because I think that they need to be mindful of that there is an opportunity for someone to write narratively
Hmm.
things regarding their experience with you. So, and this is all on the residency system. So we're not sharing anything that is not publicly accessible, but their forecast, which is the platform that you submit your application to, they actually will let you see the recommendation form that your person is going to fill out and submit. That's
Yep.
a pro tip. My advisor, my resident
Hmm.
advisor showed me, man, oh man. And I was like, what? Like you can have access. So she's brilliant. I got to give her kudos.
Yeah.
She changed the
Tag
game.
her.
So she used that form, and then she proactively spoke upon experiences, circumstances, scenarios, presentations, patient cases where she had the opportunity to showcase whatever skill set they're assessing for.
Mm. Hey, that's top notch.
Girl. So she essentially mimicked on a Word doc, filled it out like, hey, I was with you 5 months ago, so you may not remember this, but I
Hmm.
exemplified this characteristic this time.
Wow. And that just makes it easier for them because they can just put that in there. Yeah.
It is
That is
brilliant.
genius.
Yes. And she didn't, put anything for like the narrative piece because that's kind of
Up
that,
to the,
that really should be
yeah.
comes from them. But the other stuff is just like gentle reminders because
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
they're dealing with so many people. How are they going to remember the specific
Exactly.
details?
Yeah.
Usually they're going to remember the highs and the lows.
Hmm. Hmm.
They may not remember the in-betweens. They may not even have taken notice all the work that how you were dragging yourself through the mud just to show up every day and give
Mm.
them what they thought was average. But to you,
Mm.
you're nearly on your deathbed trying to survive. I'm only speaking from experience. Like I would be a zombie and they'd be like, yeah, okay, good. All right, now and I'd be like, wait, can we get some acknowledgement that like,
Yeah.
there was effort and time put into that?
Right.
But
Just trying to survive here. No
you,
big deal.
you may not always get it. But yeah, so you help people out. You don't assume that they remember these things about you. And
Hmm.
this also comes into how you track your own experiences at the end of the day, at the end of the week. Now you actually have a whole pool of examples, specific examples to dig and pull from.
Hmm. And another thing is that for each application, you can attach various letters. It's not all like you could have four letter writers and three are required. Like you're applying to a residency that's like really strong in critical care, and that's something that you're wanting to do. If you had a critical care rotation, you want that letter to be front and center on your application.
That was wonderful advice. I think I had 5
Hmm.
writers total.
Yeah, I had about four or five.
Yes, and I would send 2 to 3 per program. So I was kind of scrambling them based on which voice would resonate most with
Right.
the program, to your
Hmm.
point. So
Yep.
start thinking about who these people could be and please have some diversity to who they are. I don't mean, skin wise. I mean, although, nothing wrong with that. But I mean, like, the mode of practice, the practice
The
setting.
discipline. Yeah, so like community maybe, or maybe a former manager or current manager, and then maybe like a preceptor or a professor. Maybe throw a professor in there.
Yes.
Could be anyone.
Options.
Yeah.
A professor speaks to who you were in the classroom.
Hmm.
A pharmacy manager or internship or a job manager speaks to who you are as an actual worker, for a longer amount of time. The preceptor, yes, you might have only had a month with them, but they expect to get letters from preceptors.
Right.
So that's okay. If you make an impression within 4 weeks, which you absolutely can,
Hmm.
they will want to write for you. As a preceptor, there's some where I feel like if I wrote the letter, it might be clear to the people that I'm not able to speak specifically to
Hmm.
traits that really qualify them.
Yeah.
I can speak to them being a good person and, trying hard, being diligent. But like when it comes to like strong outcomes,
And that you don't if someone tells you something like that, you might wanna consider another person.
red light,
Yeah. Might be a little bit of a red flag. You want them to be able to speak to your like, again, like, if it's a patient care heavy residency, which, I mean, most of them are, but, like, if it's a place where you feel like would really wanna hear about, like, how you actually were in front of patients and how you were communicating on rounds and things like that, and your contributions there. You want people that can speak to that, not that you're just a good person, right?
yes.
Like
Or that might be okay if you decide to send 3 letters and
Mhm.
1 out of 3 focuses more on your
Yeah.
morality, your value system, your work
Yeah,
ethic.
that's fair.
But please don't let that be what you stand on.
And another thing, and this is kinda where I fell victim. I mean, I'm not gonna play victim. I think I really could have just done a lot better, and I didn't know this.
They might have shot you. They might have shot you in the calf though while you were trying to climb the mountain.
No, so this is like it was twofold. So I selected the wrong person, but it was also it was kind of not well thought through because I thought one of my like OG letter writers wasn't going to submit in time for my application to go through. That don't worry about that because if the letter is later than you submit, it'll still be attached to your application. So don't ask someone just kind of off the cuff for an extra letter just because you feel like someone isn't going to submit one on time. That's what I did, and it was not a good idea. So just be very, very mindful. Like I said, I feel like this is key is
Yeah.
selecting the right people that can really speak to your experiences.
Yep. But you're also speaking to not just selecting the right people, but asking them the right way. So it should be very clear the deadline that you have,
Mhm. Yeah.
and if they can actually submit by that deadline. Because if
Mhm.
they can't, or if they're giving you a response that's kind of like, yeah, I'll do it, but like I'm really really busy, that's a red
Yeah.
flag.
I know. Yeah.
That's a red flag. That means like, oh, I'll do it, but like, it's not getting my
Mhm.
100%. I'm doing it just because you need it or you asked.
Right.
You don't want that letter unless you have absolutely nobody else. But you want to, when you're approaching the right people, you want to actually please use your emotional intelligence and really evaluate, like, does this person respect me? Like,
Do they have my best interest
do they have my
at
best
heart?
interest? Did I ever feel like there was some weird animosity, or some preceptors, they kind of made you feel like they weren't vibing with you. Like you could feel that.
Yeah. For
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
and I didn't ask anybody who I didn't vibe with.
Yeah.
Except,
You want it to be, like, someone you know has your back, right? Like and I think you should go through your appies and even maybe your IPpies if that's something that is offered by your school, just with that in mind of, like, obviously, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to learn, but just kind of feeling it out and, like, doing your best, working really hard, and they will be able to see that. Some may not recognize it, like you said, like, you barely have a nostril above water and you're trying to breathe and they don't even care, but some may recognize that and be like, "Hey, she killed it. Like, I love how you presented that patient," or like, "Great job today." Like, think about those things, right?
yeah. So when you are doing your experiences, always keep in mind that you may need them again.
Mhm.
Your last time with them may not be the last day of rotation. You might need to circle back and ask them for a favor. So act like that every day.
Yeah.
I there was someone from our class, you know what, never mind.
Man, you gotta spill the tea.
We had people in our class that were disrespectful to preceptors.
Mhm.
I didn't even know how they were still enrolled. And you know, they acted like that wasn't going to affect them.
Mhm.
And when they say the world of pharmacy is small, like you kind of you
Man,
hear it all the time as a student, and you're like,
but
okay,
it's so true.
okay, I get it. Yeah, I started realizing that when I was applying for residency. I was like, you know that person, and
Yeah.
well, good thing I didn't act, crazy, act a fool on that rotation, because then
Do not
you would have heard
burn.
about it. One of my preceptors in residency ended up being my colleague in my first job.
Wow.
We both left that institution at the same time and started within months from each other at
Amazing.
my first job.
Wow. That just shows how small it is. Yeah.
And now we're friends. But she
Yeah.
was my preceptor. And it's like,
Right.
imagine how that differently things could go if you have no idea when you're going to see these people again, or when they're going to be in a room with somebody you want
Absolutely.
to work with when you're not in the room as well, and how they're
Yeah.
going to speak on you.
Right. I mean, the power of a mutual connection when you're applying to jobs, not just residencies, is key.
Yes.
Like to have someone that said, I wasn't her preceptor, but I was around when she was a student and she was great. Her presentation was awesome. I don't know my I can't really speak to her current work, but, like, just having a positive first impression or maybe 2 or 3 impressions that
Mhm.
someone can speak to is key in the job force. Like, it's really and a lot of it is who you know. I mean, residency is definitely a lot of metrics, but if you have burned a bridge with someone, it's not helpful.
All right, next one is letter of intent. This made me feel like I had to be compelling, strong, emotional, but not too
Uh-huh.
emotional.
Right? Like, you wanna get their attention, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody is submitting a letter of intent, right? But the letters that I have read, they don't have to be super colorful and flowery language, but you also don't really want to regurgitate what's on your CV. I think that's kind of the main point. They want to know who you are outside of your CV and how your skills that you have demonstrated up until this point will benefit their program.
Yes. To add on to that, because I reviewed incoming applications as a resident, I wasn't impressed.
Mm.
And when I saw a
What
good,
things didn't impress you?
well, one person, one person actually said in their letter, as you read in my CV, I have the experiences and it was like,
Mm.
actually, I have not read your CV,
Don't
because
assume anything.
I'm just charged with the letter of intent right now.
Mm.
Assuming, and who are you to be like, per my previous email? That's what that sounds
Right.
like.
I know, it does. It is.
It's giving,
It's giving condescending a little.
yeah, like, excuse me, prima donna, relax. Like, nobody, you know how many people we're interviewing right now talking about per my CV? So that irritated me highly, because it was like, get a load of this guy.
Yeah. So that, for those listening, you wanna avoid that, and for any job. You wanna give an energy that's, like, humble, but also, I'm coachable and confident.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Confident that what you have so far is enough
Mhm.
to start well,
Yeah.
but also knowing that you have a way to go and you
Yeah.
need their help
Yeah.
to become the person you want to become, essentially.
Mhm.
You don't want to be desperate either. It's such a fine balance.
It is. It really yeah.
Another thing that really turned me off professionally is the fact that you can tell that they just sent this statement out to all their programs. There is nothing here that indicates that you went on the website, sir, ma'am. Like, you just fiddled together something and sent it out to every program. There is nothing that even highlights anything you actually like about this program,
Yeah.
anyone that you've met or spoken to, which is something you should also
Mm.
include if you go to mid-year, if you have the
Yeah.
opportunity to meet people on internships or whatever it is. You always want to name drop someone that left a good mark on you, that solidifies why you have interest.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't stand the letters that, like, you just want
Yeah.
a residency. You don't want this one.
Right. I think that can be made very clear in the letter of intent. Yeah, you want to make it unique. And then it is a lot of work depending on the number of programs you're applying to. Like I did send a unique one for each one. And it does take a lot of time. But remember, this is like the next step in your career. You want to put your best foot forward. And sometimes all you just need to change is a couple words and add in a little personalization there. Like don't just send the same one to all the programs. They will be able to tell.
Yeah, it is very obvious. And it's like this, and again, it's another thing that speaks volumes as to the work that you do.
Mhm.
You didn't care enough to even
Yeah.
make us feel special or seen.
Mhm.
How are you
Mhm.
going to show up every day? How are you going to treat patients? How are you going to be as a colleague?
Yeah.
Everything matters and speaks to how you are. Everything that we do and how we handle circumstances, whether we decide to work late or just close the laptop in the middle of a note because it's 5 o'clock, like
Right.
all of these things that we do, the decisions we make on a daily basis speak to who we are as a human being.
Yeah, think of it like you're dating someone and you want to put out your first best impression. If someone is already showing that they're not putting initiative out like from the very beginning when they should be
Yeah.
on their best behavior and really trying to impress you, you probably don't want to spend a whole year with them. You're really like trying to put your best foot forward, and if your letter of intent does not show that, then they're not going to want to spend a whole year with you.
Okay. Letter of intent. That can comprise of like 4 to 5 paragraphs.
And we know you guys are gonna use AI these days, like, we know it, but just
You didn't have any faith.
no, like, I if I were applying to residency now in 2025, I would use AI to start my letter of intent, 100%. But you are not going to take what is from ChatGPT and just put it right onto a piece of paper. So, really, if you're going to use AI, just use it with caution is all I'm saying. I don't wanna beat around the bush there. I know that people are gonna use it.
No, that's good. I think that one of the good things about AI is it can serve as their editor, right? I would encourage you guys to actually write your own letter and then put it into AI and ask it to screen it for any opportunities to be a little bit more professional
Or personal.
while also maintaining a personality. You don't want to sound like a robot, but you also don't want to be too casual. But a good blend of both is very appropriate. Searching for grammatical errors or
Absolutely.
ways to make it a little smoother.
You can ask AI to do that. I do it all the time for my job, yeah. "Can you please make this more concise?" Takes a paragraph this big, makes it this big, and it still says exactly the same thing that you're trying to convey. Yeah, so, like, using it as a tool, but not as your end all be all. But I like the idea of starting with something first and then putting it in there. I myself like to use it as a starting point where I'll say, hey, I am applying to a pharmacy residency. I'm specifically interested in these things about this residency. Please, and then you attach your CV. Please take pieces from my CV that apply to this program, provide the link, and provide me a 4 to 5 paragraph letter of intent for this program, and then you change it to make it your own. I think just make it your own. Don't make,
Yeah. So you use it to get your creativity to hit your momentum, and I'm using it on the flip side.
yeah, yeah. And you could take that first starting point and then just like completely tear it up and track changes, I guess figuratively, and then put it back in. And then you're basically at the step that you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put it back in and then you get another result. And then you keep refining it back and forth. And then to a point where it's like, all right, this is me. This is exactly what I want to say, just with a little help from a tool.
And there's usually a little format that you want to follow.
I think like the header, you want to have like the name of the RPD, the institution, like just make it look like a real letter, like it's actually going to them.
That is a good tip. Yes, you want the header like it's actually going out, but it's not. But it just gives it a
Yeah,
different.
it just looks official. It doesn't need to be on like letterhead or anything, but just, having that there. And then, yeah, like that first paragraph, your first paragraph just explains like, this is who I am. This is my intention. This is
Mhm.
what I see my pharmacy career looking like. That's where you name drop. That's where especially if you know that those two people have a good relationship or maybe they're neutral.
Yeah.
And then you go like second, third, fourth, are your kind of like your reasons for why you're applying to that program and what you can offer.
Yeah, that first paragraph is you sliding into their DMs
Right.
professionally. That next paragraph, you're kind of going into what interests you, starting to connect that to what they have available, tying it back, naturally to your experiences and
And why you're a good fit.
why you're a good fit. And you're also explaining not just what you like, but like why you want to do that.
Yeah. Your passion for whatever that thing is, like where is that coming from?
And yeah, this is how you interweave like flawlessly, seamlessly, I should say. For mine, I think I said like my passion for working with patient care was solidified when I blah, 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 blah. And so I'm going into like certain experiences and moments that really made it clear to me that this is what I want to do. And you also can have more than one interest. You don't have to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly don't state an interest that they can't help you with. Please don't waste your time. They're going to see that and be like, all right, next. But unless there's a PGY2, because mentioning that you notice they have a PGY2 and something that you definitely want to specialize in, that is a very strong reason to want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
You also here can be adding in a little bit or in the fourth paragraph about your extracurricular interests, because some of them have things like teaching certificates. So I would
Mm-hmm.
highlight that when I would see it, because I did some TA work when I was in
Mm-hmm.
pharmacy school and I wanted to continue doing that. And so
Yeah.
I would bridge those experiences together.
Again, it just shows that you know the program you're applying to and you're not just applying and
Mm-hmm.
just sending the same letter to everywhere, to your point.
Yeah. Yes. It's also important to put in the letter what you bring to the table. Like you're not a slum just showing up and
Yeah.
leeching off the program. Listen, they are paying you
Mm-hmm.
a slice of the price. Okay. Please do not think that you are not involved in an exchange of skills. And
Mm-hmm.
you are definitely contributing to their ecosystem of work.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Absolutely.
frequently relying on the resident for shifts when they're even deciding what the shifts are going to look like for actually employed pharmacists. They are looking forward to you helping them on projects that they don't have the capacity to do. They're looking forward to you helping take off some patient load.
Which is really hard to get across in a letter. And I think that's where the interview comes in. Definitely helpful for people to hear it from you, the reasons why residents are brought on. And you want them to be, they want residents to be someone who is able to pick up the slack, is able to jump in and, practice pharmacy, but also understanding like you're still kind of in
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. You're not just coming in and like, taking, you are giving.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make a compelling argument that like, hey, you guys are benefiting by me being on your team.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot to learn from you. I want to really be here, but also I'm coming with strong skills to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not just pulling up with an empty plate. Like I'm potlucking to
Yeah.
the table. So you want to make that clear. Some people don't want to work with somebody who needs a lot of like heavy lifting to get them where they need to be. And if you can
Right.
express that you are not that person, that gal, that guy, that might be very appealing to them.
You're already coming with skills that are going to help you succeed
Mm-hmm.
during that residency, and they'll be able to hopefully you can convey that in your letter, which it is hard, like, it's challenging.
It's hard, yeah, with
Yeah,
on one page. It's
on
just
one
one
page,
page.
yeah.
You get to do this. So those are the four paragraphs. And then the fifth paragraph is like 3 to 4 sentences of you kind of just reiterating. This is the part where you're like, oh, you're so wonderful. And like, this is the part of the date. Well,
Like, you've done your research.
yes. You have done your research and you clearly are applying to the right program.
Mm-hmm.
Like without a doubt, you have, done your due diligence and you firmly believe that like they have a program that will grow you, challenge you, expose you to things that you actually are interested in. I think I would be a great fit. And I believe that we mutually have things to gain from each other. You're saying it more
Mm-hmm.
eloquently than that, but like that's kind of like the take home message of that paragraph, and thanking them for their time and their consideration.
I don't know if you put like an actual signature. I did that for mine to
Mm-hmm.
make it look official, but
Yes.
yeah.
That always adds a really nice personal touch.
Yeah.
So you want to actually like write your signature out on a piece of paper, scan it on your phone or whatever, crop it in,
Mm-hmm.
crop it, and then do a little like copy and paste into
Put
the
it in there.
signature portion of your letter, and then convert it into a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Chef's kiss.
it is just like, it's the little things. They add up, they accumulate, and they can be the determining factor between you and another really amazing candidate.
Right.
All right. I think it's time for us to now go into like the match reality. Like what's going on after they submit all of this into the interface of forecast, PHORCAS.
Forecasts. So you rank, they rank, and depending on where you fall on their list and where they fall on your list. I just picture like this, like just like people floating around, and then like this person hasn't matched yet, and then this program hasn't matched yet, and then all of a sudden they find each other, and
Yeah.
that person matches, and there's inevitably people that fall through.
Yeah.
But
Not only are you finding out who you like match with or didn't match with, the program is also finding out who they
really,
with and didn't match with.
mm,
Because they can rank you as their number one, but if you did not match them at all, like you didn't even put their name in the hat, which you can
yeah,
do,
right. You don't
you
have to rank
can,
everybody. Yeah, we
well,
did.
if you apply and they invite you for interviews, you'll go through the interview process, and then you will get back on the interface and you will actually rank these programs, like from
Hmm.
number one, this is my number one, to bloop 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 bloop. There are people who applied to like 13 residency programs. I applied to like 5 or 6. No, I applied
Mm.
to 8, I think. And I actually ranked 5 or 6.
Did you interview with all of them?
No, I didn't interview with everyone though. I think I interviewed 6 places and I think I
Okay.
applied. Yeah,
If they don't rank you, then you wouldn't even be in their algorithm. Like,
correct.
that wouldn't even be part, like, you may rank them, but if
Yes,
they don't rank you, there's no way you can match with them.
to my understanding. Yeah. So if you get matched somewhere, you ranked them somewhere on your list,
Mhm.
and they you.
Yep.
So you want to actually rank people the way you truly, truly feel. I ranked a program number one that I knew I just didn't feel at peace with
Mm.
the experience I had there. It was very ego driven that I just wanted to be in like a very, very highly ranked program,
That's understandable.
knowing good and well that like I didn't even like the people there. I was like, I don't.
Well, it worked. See, that just goes to show it worked out. You did, if you didn't match at your number one, it just worked out the way that it was supposed to.
I matched at the place where I felt the most peace, where I actually felt the most relaxed and genuinely
Right.
like liked as a person, and
Mhm.
not feeling like I was having to do cartwheels and perform in order to
Mm.
get their attention. To the point made earlier, if you do everything you're supposed to do and you don't get it, no matter how bad you want it, it literally may be a blessing in disguise.
Like, you knew it in your heart that you felt peace with the program, and they probably felt that in the interview, and they probably ranked you highly because of that.
I'm going to hope so. Okay, we have the first phase is the first match day.
Yep, that's like the OG. That's like you rank the programs. Everybody's finding out for the first time, like you said. And then if you don't match, you would have gotten an email that said, unfortunately you did not match. And then they'll give you a list of the programs that also didn't match because it's a two-way street, right? So they're ranking, you're ranking. A lot of programs will like they'll have maybe they have 8 resident spots and 2 of them were not filled. It happens. Then that program and others that did not fill their full, I don't know, do you call it a roster? Like their full list.
Yeah.
They will end up on a list that gets published on the ASHP website for phase 2. And so then you go back into forecasts and you apply to those programs. And so that is the point where I changed all my letters, or I modified my letters of recommendation. I didn't get any interviews for the phase 1 because of that one letter, but I switched them up. And this is how I know it was the letter, because I switched them up and I took the bad one out and I got interviews for all the ones I applied to in phase 2. And I ranked all of them.
And when you say you switched them up, you mean you went back to people and asked
Yeah.
them to rewrite, revise, and then resend?
Right. Yeah. So I reached out to all my letter writers and they all offered to like even spruce up the letters that they wrote. Like I said, I had 5 letter writers, so I ended up just keeping the 4 that I knew were really strong, and I ranked all the programs. So interviewed with them, ranked them, and then phase 2 match day, which is, I don't know, is it like it happens really fast. I was so determined to do a residency, like even before the phase 2 programs had even opened that I even knew, because I knew that I wasn't with phase 1, I didn't have any interviews, so I had time to prepare for phase 2, and so I basically took all of the programs that had spots open from phase 1, and I looked at them and, like, kind of rated them based on, like, if they were to pop up in phase 2, am I gonna apply to that?
Mm.
So I was, like, ready, like, the guns were low. I don't know, but we were ready. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for when phase 2 came, I had some that were I was already like, "I know that I wanna apply to this."
Yeah.
Yeah, so interviewed, and then I didn't match phase 2. So then the scramble is basically everybody that does not match from phase 2. So the residency programs, usually it's, like, 1 spot in like, a few residencies that are available. And so I went through that as well. And they were all community, and all my appies were, like, very, like, I did, like, a bone marrow transplant appy, I did, like, an inpatient oncology, like, it was very clear I was interested in oncology, and none of those were that. So I still pursued them because I wanted to do residency, but it obviously just didn't work out.
You have an amazing story to tell. This is where we get to really hear the day you didn't match, which, by the way, is the title of an article you wrote for
Mhm.
CBRL. So we're going to include that link because that is a powerful, yet in a way you still made it comedic.
It was fun to write. I mean, it's my story. Yeah.
The emotional roller coaster I went on reading it. I'm like feeling your all the feels, but then I'm randomly laughing at the jokes and the memes. So you guys have to go read it.
Well, the world told me no, but I said, "Okay, what's my next step?" Yeah, and like we talked about before with the letter, like there are definitely things that I could have handled better when I was a student. And honestly, all of that is 2020 hindsight. That person wrote that for a reason. But honestly, if I would have gone through residency, I would have never met my husband. And there was a lot of things that would have never happened. So it was all for a reason. So I'll just say that for anyone who didn't match, like, it's gonna be okay. It's really gonna be okay. There are ways to get where you wanna be without doing a residency. So yeah, that day was not fun at all, finding out that I didn't match. I just felt like a failure. I was like, "What did I" like, I put all of this time and effort into this program or into this process and money, like, it's expensive. Like, each program you apply to,
Yeah.
it adds up.
Yeah, you pay to apply.
Yeah, I think it had been, like, thousands of dollars at that point, because I applied to a lot of programs. I applied to a lot of them, like, even phase 1, I applied to a lot of programs, and so, just felt, like, hopeless, like, I went through all this schooling And all of this and came up completely empty-handed. I have no job. It's COVID. I I have nothing. I have nothing to show for it after 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So just it was not a great time. I remember it very vividly, and I remember thinking to myself, "Okay, so if residency isn't gonna happen, what do I do?" So I just started applying to jobs, like, and I'm talking, like, pretty much everything that would take someone with a PharmD. But then at the same time, I also knew that I needed to get my license because it was that time period. You're done with school, but you're not licensed yet. You gotta apply to take the NAPLEX and all that stuff. So I'm studying for the NAPLEX, applying to jobs, doing both of those things, but still so upset that I won't be a resident because I'm studying all these things that are on the NAPLEX that I want to be able to apply in the clinical world,
Mm,
and I know that I will never get to do that.
mm,
So that was just really hard, but I remember just buckling in. I had a calendar. I was studying. I had like a regimen that I was doing every day, like today I'm going to tackle these topics, today I'm going to tackle these topics,
yeah.
all the way up until the day that I took the NAPLEX and the MPGE. I passed them the first time for both. And I remember as I was walking out the door to take the MPJE, I got an offer from the company that I'm working for now. And I was like, okay, this all makes sense. I was not supposed to be a resident. I was supposed to go this other path. And honestly, while it was very grim and sad, looked very hopeless and dark for a while,
Yeah.
I look back on that time being so temporary, but it built so much character. And for anybody who finds themselves in a similar situation, I hope you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a no is not a no to everything. It's just a no to that one thing at that particular time. And it's up to you to take that rejection, which I don't even know if I would call it a rejection. It was just, okay, like it didn't work out. Take that as an opportunity to learn from it. So we talked about that letter with like the feedback thing. I get told now that I take feedback so well because of that. Like now that I know that I was not taking feedback well, I took that and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take feedback. I'm going to ask for it proactively. I'm going to take that feedback and really reflect on it and be better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all a learning experience.
Yeah.
All these things happen for a reason. It's hard to go through. And I'm sure there's people who are going to watch this who didn't match and just feel exactly the same way, if not worse, because it's really kind of like an identity crisis, honestly.
I really believe that the way it's just so hammered into you, like from the beginning,
Mm,
because I remember coming into pharmacy school just thinking, I'm going to be here for 4 years, get my
mm,
degree, and then work. And then I remember it was in the first year where I'm learning now that I have to still do something else.
mm.
And like my doctorate isn't enough. What do you mean?
Right.
I gotta still do something after this again. Like, when does it stop? Someone please put me out of
It never
this.
stops.
No, it doesn't. Because then after that, it's like, okay, now get board certified.
Hmm.
Okay, now get your CPP. Okay, like, please.
Or get your master's.
Who's the one making these rules? Where do you live?
We gotta find you. No, I think it's really just that the bar is set so high. Jobs are not easy to get, and so people feel like they need to constantly add on credentials, add letters behind their name. At the end of the day, behind every success story, I always like to say, like, if you look and see where I am now, it's not obvious that one day 5 years ago, I had no job, felt hopeless, but, like, behind all those success stories, there are so many rejections and so many opportunities to grow and figure out exactly where you're supposed to be. So, just because one place tells you no or one process doesn't work, doesn't mean you're a complete failure. It doesn't mean that, like, this is gonna define you for your entire life, because I promise, like, it for a few months, it did define me, but you scratch yourself out of that hole and you become stronger from it. And I'll say, even in my current job, I get rejected all the time by people who I'm trying to meet with. And it's because of those past rejections that I have faced, whether it's through an interview, whether it's like the residency situation.
Yeah.
I've been able to take those rejections and just completely see there was something that I was missing. There was something that I didn't consider, and maybe I just need to go back to the drawing board
Mm-hmm.
and figure out how to improve next.
Mm. I also want to ask, like, how much time did you give yourself before jumping back in to look for jobs after you didn't match?
Yeah, like the day and maybe like a couple days after, I was very, very lethargic and, you know, again, I was at home, so my mom was there to like,
Yeah.
console me, so that was nice. I had friends in pharmacy school who like were really close friends. They like sent me flowers and stuff like that. So like it it was a time of like vulnerability, like being completely just upset and it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. You're going to feel all those things, and I think what defines you is how you pick yourself back up. So yeah, it was a couple days, probably maybe a day and a half. I don't know. I definitely did not let it go on for a week. It was more like, all right, it's time to we gotta study for the NAPLEX. And I think having that as like that's my next goal is I need to get
Yeah.
licensed.
Okay. Yeah.
Having that is like, you can't do anything. I mean, if you want to be a pharmacist and you want to work in a pharmacy, you have to have your license. What I ended up doing after all of this was done, I didn't need a license for, which was interesting. But like, if you work in industry, you don't technically need a license. And this is just a tangent, but if you're going into a fellowship or you're going into residence or you're going into industry, just go ahead and take the NAPLEX. A lot of people don't. You have spent so much time learning all of this stuff while it's fresh. Just go do it and
Yeah.
just get yourself licensed. It's like a fee every year and you have to do CE, but I mean, you went through the training, just get your license. I don't know. I feel like for me, I think it's a no-brainer. But
Do it while it's fresh, because
exactly.
you do not want to go back and take that
You
years
don't.
later. You do.
And you never know. What if you do go into a fellowship and you get a job and then you get laid off and then you want to go work at for a little bit? You'll have to
Mhm.
be licensed to do that. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And there's two things that are very important about your recovery process, right? You took yourself off of social media for a period of time.
I did.
You
I
kind of
felt like that was
you shielded yourself from
yes.
unnecessary additional hurt pangs.
Right. Yeah, and especially coming from a school like UNC, and I don't think this is just unique to UNC, but comparing yourself to everyone all the time. This person has this leadership opportunity, this person is doing this internship, and you're constantly comparing yourself. And that, of course, flows into the postgraduate phase where everybody's posting where they matched and I'm sitting here, I didn't match. It wasn't that I wasn't happy for my, our colleagues, but it's just you at some point you just gotta you just gotta, yeah, just put
Yeah.
that protective barrier around yourself and just go off the grid for a little bit. And that's what I did. And I do think it it was a necessary step for me.
Yeah, because you're not being a hater, but it's like it's not helping what you're trying to process right now.
Absolutely.
And it was almost as if people wrote up their captions and announcements the night before, because I was like,
Right.
how did they post this so fast? There's like a 5 paragraph caption.
Yeah.
How did you? It was like they did it the night before and had
Yeah, it
it
was like an
back.
acceptance speech of like a Grammy. It's like, I want to thank my preceptor. I want to thank my grandma. I want to thank my dog.
It
And
was
like, it's like, dude, I'm happy for you, but right now I'm hurting and I need to just go off. And honestly, like this doesn't apply to just residency and not matching. Like in real life, it's easy to compare yourself to people. And once you start feeling that feeling, maybe it's time you just need to get off Instagram because
yeah,
it is a thief of joy because people only post the good things that happen to them. Remember I said, like, behind every success story, behind every pregnancy, like, there's loss, there's times where people are not happy and they're just not sharing it. So that's why you got to read my article, because I talk about, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly of what
Mm-hmm.
happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to share more about our failures, because nobody likes to talk about failures, but I mean, it happens. It's a natural process
Yeah.
if you are pursuing a career like pharmacy or things like that, things that are challenging.
Another thing, Savannah, that I think is really important for them to understand about what led to your success is that you were proactive in the sense of reaching out to people. You didn't wait for things just to fall in your lap. Like,
Mhm.
you made bold decisions and bold moves. Can you just share a little bit about that? I think that's a really good strategy.
So it was kind of like during that time period of like, man, I have all of this like clinical knowledge in my head. I want to be able to use it. And so I reached out and found the one of the co-founders of TLDR Pharmacy, just because like I just wanted something to work on. Like, I had just, we were working hard, we were busting our butts, and all of a sudden it's like it all stopped. I'm like, I want to work on something and, still be productive. And so I reached out to Brandon Dyson, great guy, and just said, "Hey, I'm looking for an opportunity to write an article, probably like an oncology related one." And he's like, "Yeah, like, we take guest writers all the time." And so I whipped up an article, sent it to him, and next thing I knew, it was published. And the job that I ended up getting was a medical writing role. And so they looked at that, they saw that. And even though it wasn't exactly the type of work that I would be doing in that role, my manager, the hiring manager still says to this day that was key into why they were so confident in my application, because it showed that I had the motivation.
Mm,
And I had no idea that doing that little project would have ended up shaping my career, because I'm still at the same company.
mm-hmm.
I'm just in a different role now. But it all came down to finding and creating the opportunity for myself and seeing where it went, even though it didn't make sense at the time. But it was really just a way for me to maintain my skills, maintain my writing,
Yeah.
get a project under my belt while I was waiting, while I was in this like purgatory period. It's awkward, honestly, to like just reach out to someone, but a lot of people they do want help. They do want a pharmacist or someone who just got out of pharmacy school to be able to help pick up some work that needs to be done. And so I just happened to find something that ended up being beneficial.
Do you have anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we close?
Just really encouraging words for anybody who finds themselves listening to this because they didn't match, or anybody just going through a career transition. Just just trust the process. A lot of it, it's just temporary discomfort and you'll get past it. So don't take no as a final answer. It's never a final answer. Go back to the drawing board and figure out what your next step is. And you might want to take a couple days like I did, but once you finally have processed it, you can move forward and just trust that it's all going to work out, because it will.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. Stay blessed and stay curious. And we are out.